My chum and I at school, we decided we wanted to be in a shop. That was my dream. I just wanted to serve and be with the public, you know. So me and I set off and we tried Isaac Benzies first for the job. And we just sat a wee test, you know. And we got a letter a week after it would be accepted. It would be starting whenever we left school. So I got what I wanted. And I mean, Isaac Benzies, well, I just thought it was a top shop for Aberdeen. When you started there at 14, you was a junior, so I had to do all the messages. So I was always put up the office or down the stairs to the office where the cash was. But I used to run up the stairs instead of taking a lift and stop and see the music. And oh, I just loved to hear it. And I used to look at all the white tablecloths and the cake stand with the cakes and the scones and your napkins. I mean, you don't see much of that now. It was just lovely.
As soon as a new shift comes on, the miners go to the canteen and collect the food they will take with them underground. This usually consists of jam or cheese sandwiches, carried in a dust-proof tin box.
If my mother was coming down to the field without tea, which she always did, the horses maybe turned at the top of the field and they would spot her leaving and they put on a step because they knew fine old we'll get a piece.
The fish of Scotland are renowned for quality and are an important part of Britain's food. And her herrings go overseas as well. The Russians of old and the Germans today are as familiar as we are with the produce of Aberdeen, Fraserburgh and Lerwick.
There were 2 gutters and 1 packer. 2 were gutting the herring and 1 was packing it into the barrel.
It was fast, you hadn't time, no slowness. Get your fingers as quick as your tongues, the foreman used to say.
And some of these gutters, I'm told, could gut 60 herring in a minute.
But you had to be quick. When I was learning, my mother said to me, you should be able to cut your next herring before the first one goes into the basket. And the smell off of the barrels was just something, it wasn't even funny. It really, really was hard, dirty, cold work.
After hand splitting and cleaning, the herring are stacked for kippering in this old kiln.
And I was kind of small, so they put a box on the floor. And there was a certain way you had to hold this stick. And you couldn't put it up like that. You had to hold it like that. And they used to say, a little bit higher, Lindy. And then all the strips would be coming on your face as well.
The lassies over in the fish house, you could hear them singing down the pier. First class, man. It was just a wee community of its own.
They would sing all the war songs. Lily Mullane, Moonlight Bay. Oh, Moonlight Bay.
We could hear the voices ringing.
They were always singing, never a dull moment with the girls, rain or shine.
You had to have fun, you had to have humour. Otherwise, life would have been terrible. When somebody who was new, you'd say, go to the mechanic shop and get a bucket of steam.
The humour was, you had to live in it to understand just how deep it was.
My friend Betty, she got sent for a long stand.
Stupid thing like a left-handed screwdriver.
It was instant. Everybody had a tongue.
One of the favourite ones was to spread grease on the very tender portions of your body. Quite embarrassing.
And if anybody got married again, you had to take the fun.
Oh, there's some weird things to you.
They used to maybe put you in a barrow and hurl you through all the mill.
And take you outside and parade you up the street.
And then they did your looms all up in like Christmas decorations, just with crimped papers and things like that.
And so it was just to let everybody ken you were getting married. And so it was a lot of fun.
It wasn't unusual for female drivers when I was driving. They had been driving during the war, and they'd been driving in the First World War.
The destination blind is changed, the points are switched, the seats are reversed,
and the bow collector swung over the roof. Number 9 is ready for the return to Dalmuir West.
The children used to come with farthings and place them on the rails, then scamper onto the pavement when they saw the tram coming. Their farthing would turn out like a halfpenny and it would be well shiny.
You didn't count how many were standing. You were supposed to, but you didn't count. I mean, there were poor workers trying to get home from their work.
If they made an effort, I saw they were running and trying to get the tram, I would slow down and make sure they got the tram. But if they weren't making any effort at all, I think they just put their hand out and you would stop. I says, that was it, they'd had it.
And they would be shouting and yelling down the stair at you to stop. The folk wanted on and the folk wanted off.
Oh, aye, come on.
Get off. One of them stuck a cigarette and burnt the back of my hand because I wouldn't let him on.
At the changeover point where the branch line leads off to the depot, the crews are switched to give them a break.
Passengers would bring some odd things on.
Oh, that was a regular thing to do, a flitting on the tram.
Rolls of linoleum.
I had a joiner came on Monday and it was a kitchen sink he had.
Hold on, missus, I've got something else.
Bundles and bundles of clothes.
A wardrobe.
You name it, we used to get it on the front beside us.
Trams came into their own at night, when conventional traffic thinned out. This is the time their crews will miss the most.
I think they thought we couldn't deal with drunks.
Like going up Gascue Road on a Friday night, we called that the wine special. This very well-dressed man came on one night in Partick, and suddenly there was water appeared, and I thought it started to rain. But when I got to Scotstoun, I discovered that the man had peed himself.
Oh, for Pete's sake, the toilets were non-existent in a sense.
I
mean, it's a bit near the bone to speak about.
Very primitive, very primitive.
If you had a run-off, it was no problem.
Their toilets were just small wee places. They weren't very great places.
If you was going for a shit, you can, to be quite blunt about it, you had to crawl into an old road.
No cubicles, no divisions.
No toilet paper. You just took a newspaper with you.
Ah, the hell, we into a corner and that's it. And some unfortunate might come along later on to do a job, you know, and here he's into it all.
500,000 miners, steelworkers, engineers and shipbuilders drew good pay on Saturdays. Into Clydeside's pockets went money from overseas.
10 pounds sure. Isaac Benzie says you'll start with 14 shillings and 8 pence. So I got the 4 and 8, and my mum got the 10 bob note.
When you earned your first pay packet, for instance, you used to say you'll get the big chair in the night, you know, which meant you get your dad's chair for the first 5 minutes until you hand over your pay packet.
The men who build the Clyde monsters are like other men, harder than some, tough in sinew, warm in spirit.
If you were caught having a fracas, in other words, fisticuffs, you would get fired, and no trade union in the world could save you.
You had to depend on each other. I mean, there were some dumbbells among them, Ken. But I'll tell you anything about a miner. You could argue with a miner to the point of nearly fighting with him, but at the end of the day, it was forgotten about. I mean, you got up the pit, and you'd have a drink with him in the pub, and that was it. It was forgotten about.
You helped your neighbours. If your limbs were on, and hers were off, and if you could help her, you helped your neighbour to get hers on. And if she smoked or she went to the toilet, you'd hold on one of her looms because she was making money for her, because a weaver was a piece worker.
Oh dear me, I wish the day was done. Running up and doing this passes nae fun. Shifting, piecing, setting, warped, wet and twine. They fairly mark your work for your 10 and 9.
In the 30s, in the world slump, Scotland was badly hit. These shipbuilders were paid off. The yards were still. And on a despondent Clydeside, this rusting skeleton, the world's largest liner to be, stood unfinished.
One effect of the Depression was that Britain concentrated her production around her more wealthy markets, London and the South. We will be closing down at the end of the month. The company has decided to concentrate on its new...
During the Depression, my father was still the director of a very well-known drapery business in Glassford Street in Glasgow. My father would say, we'll never close. We will never have to close. But one by one, they had to dispense with the employees. But he said, I'll still have my job, there's no worry. But suddenly it affected his business, and with very little warning, the business collapsed. And it was a terrible come down to go down into Govan and go join the queue with the rest of the men.
But gradually, as world trade improved, the Clydeside revived. That rusting skeleton was clothed in steel and launched. The Queen Mary.
I name this ship Hurricane. May God bless her and all who I name this ship Adventure. I name this God bless
I was convinced that I was going to go in the jute mills from 15 until I retired. I mean, I'd never dreamt on the jute mills ever fading out in Dundee.
But one time, I can remember Ravenscraig had 9,500 directly employed.
The young good feature about the mining was the work was there. But mind you, if anybody had told me in 1940 or 39 that the coal board or the pits were going to go, the demise of the pits, I wouldn't have believed them. I mean, there's 40 million tonne still left down there. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. We'll go for it someday, maybe. No in my time.